heard tonight, but legal matters you need to say.
Yes, sir.
We supposed to recognize each spouse?
That's right.
What's this? No. Only had those two.
See, I cut through there every time I come here and go home.
Oh, there it is, it's on the back.
Here it is.
Ooh, government efficiency.
Okay.
Yeah, I see some uniforms.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. Turn me back on?
Probably don't need to be.
Let's see one. I'd like to call this meeting of the Columbia County Board of Commissioners to order for this Tuesday, March the 15th. This is Super Tuesday number 2, is that right?
I reckon.
You're not keeping up with the national elections?
No, sir.
Oh.
I've heard 2 and 3, depending
You
on the
keeping up
outlet.
with the local elections?
Yes, sir.
Good work. At this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner Morris to offer up our invocation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Y'all will join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, once again, we come to you with thankful hearts and appreciation for the blessings you bestowed upon us. Again, we pray that we will not take these things for granted. We understand that your role is as our leader, that if we follow you and live up to the rules and commandments that you have given us, in our lives can benefit and benefit others as well. Pray that your presence will be tonight as we make decisions and the audience say the things that they need to say, and that we represent this republic that we live in and live to the highest standard of us. All these things.
Amen.
Sir, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, nation, God, visible, liberty and justice for all.
You have a quorum with all 5 commissioners present. Again, our first order of business is to approve of the minutes of our previous meeting of March the 1st. If you're satisfied with their content, we'll accept a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any items needing clarification? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Mr. Johnson, I believe we have about 30 minutes on revisions to the agenda. Would you like to help us get into that?
I hope it won't take that long, Mr. Chairman. For your consideration, staff would ask that item H2D, which is RFP 2016-0008, RFP 1011 for employee medical and wellness screening, be removed. Staff would like some additional time to work on that RFP. And then I believe we had 2 legal matters that were listed on the agenda. Appeal to request a stop work order issued by Magnolia Valley, and an appeal for request for condemnation of mobile home located on Quail Creek Road, asking to move both of those items as well. I believe there'll be a continuance on one of those items that Mr. Driver will bring up at the appropriate time.
And I believe we have a request to withdraw one on the debate agenda that we'll take up at the time of that item. Request Furious Ferry Road.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, that one is the 12C4 that's asked to be withdrawn without prejudice. All right, we'll proceed with those changes. Again, I'd like to welcome you to this meeting of the Columbia County Board of Commissioners. These proceedings are videotaped. If you'd like a copy of that disc, we'll be glad to supply you one by making request to Ms. Crawley up here at the front. You can also see these proceedings on the county website. We don't have any TV anymore, but I guess in those locations you can find out whatever's going on. Do remind you that you're invited to speak to this body. If you're not already on the agenda, we ask that you fill out a speaker form in the back, bring it up to Ms. Crawley, and we'll recognize you at the proper time during the meeting. I believe we have some special guests, and I failed to get much notice, but we have some scouts over here. I wonder if their leader would like to introduce their troop and the people involved. Welcome to the meeting of the commission. Hope we don't scare you away from county government.
Or bore you to death.
Yeah, well, that too. And I believe we have a leadership class here. Do we have some leadership people in the back? We don't? We do, over here. Would you stand and give us your name and the school you attend? Now, you're in the Columbia County Youth Leadership? Okay, well, welcome to the commission meeting. I believe we have at least one candidate here for the Senate District 24. I believe Greg Krabowski is back with us again. Welcome, Greg.
Hey, Greg?
We have any other candidates that might be here tonight? Okay. We'll move on now to our special recognitions, which is always a good time with us, honoring the Columbia County Employee of the Month for March of 2016. And I believe Vice Chair Allen is going to present it to Ronnie McKinney from Code Compliance. Would you come on down front? Anyone else who would like to speak? Here comes Miss Dana Rhodes, Paul Scarborough.
Let me present this to you, please, Mr. McKinney. McKinney has been employed with Columbia County for 9 years. 8 years of those were with Animal Services as a certified animal control officer, but since January of 2015, he has merged into the Code Compliance Department. He's lived in Columbia County his entire life, hard every day to make sure that our county stays clean and on the straight and narrow. I am going to let Miss Rhodes. I told her she was going to have to do this, and she declined to. But I'm going to make her read her very well-worded nomination for Mr. McKinney on why he deserved this award. Centers around the Veterans Day morning that you were called at 7:30 and agreed to come in on your day off to do a job to help a family that might be in danger. And greatly appreciate that, sir. Ms. Rhodes?
I'll just use my own words. It was actually the night before that I called Ronnie after receiving a call from Paul and the fire department that a family, a large family, might have some serious fire issues, safety issues in their home. And I knew we needed to go the next day. Veterans Day, Paul had some family emergencies happening. I had some emergencies happening, but time was of the essence, so we needed to get it done the next day. So I called Ronnie at that night and said, you don't have to, probably already have plans, but if you would assist me, I would greatly appreciate it. He said, absolutely, no problem. What time you want to be at work? And literally at 7:30 the next morning, Paul and I picked Ronnie up at his house and proceeded to spend the better part of that entire day back and forth on that property, trying to coordinate with the property owners to help them. And he's that way every day, though. So it didn't surprise me at all. His willing attitude and his professionalism show through every single day. And I just want to publicly thank him for being such a great guy and for adding a lot of comedic timing all the time. And, Paul?
I'd like to just appreciate, give my thanks to you, Ronnie, for the dedication you give to the job and what you bring to our department in code enforcement. Your willingness to be there, even on your day off, and never hear a complaint. That's the attitude that the county it expects out of us all, and that's what you do it without fail every single day.
We'll just add real quick, the Code Compliance Department does not exactly get to deal with the happiest people every day. And for Mr. McKinney to keep such a shining and sterling attitude through all of the endeavors he goes through on a daily basis, greatly appreciate that attitude, sir. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ronnie. We have a request to speak concerning a rezoning of Ms. Harriet DeWitt. Is she present? Now, that is one of the things that has to be withdrawn, but you're still welcome to come comment if you'd like to.
Thank you. I'm Harriet DeWitt. I live at 4131 Rivermont Drive. I'm not going to beat a dead horse tonight, but we moved out there 29 years ago. The lots all in the area were a little over 1 acre large, and it was R1. Everything out there is R1. Then suddenly, in the last few weeks, something was proposed that something be changed to R2. Upon investigation, we found that they could build as many as 4 structures per lot, and the lots are only a little over an acre. And I just wanted to reiterate, yes, I understand that it has been withdrawn, but it's going to develop, and we're glad to see it develop. I'm excited about it. But we would ask respectively that the commissioners please leave it zoned R1. It's just better for the whole community, for the tax base. I talked to one neighbor in one of the subdivisions, I believe it was Magnolia Ridge, and that person actually told me that she felt the acreage ought to be out there to the size of at least 10 acres. And I said, well, that's not hardly going to happen unless you're close to the river. But with all due respect, we do hope that y'all will leave us scheduled or zoned as R1. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Harriet.
We'll see what they come back with the next time around. We've also had a request to speak concerning a variance located at 5081 Barrington Drive, Herman Good. Welcome.
This gentleman next to me, I have an empty lot there that I've owned for about 20 years now. He has decided to build a shop out there. He got a permit to build it 32 foot from the property line, 20 at the back, building back to him. Cleared part of my property, caused a grading, did it, and I've got a runoff ditch there. The back of the shop looks 10 times worse than the front. I'm worried about the size, the location, use of this property. He's running a business out of it now, a R1 neighborhood, not B. They have a business license, have a business in there, I don't know. But like I said, when they built it, when they cleared off part of my property, they drug the land from my lot onto his to level his lot out, moved the dirt around, like I said, dumped gravel in there. Like I said, I didn't know anything about this. Last couple of years been kind of rough for me. So when a neighbor sent me a letter saying the variance was up, I went out there and looked, had no idea what was going on this property. So like I said, I really couldn't say anything about it. He could build what he wanted to, 32 foot off the property line, but 5 foot off the property line, I think it's going to cause adverse property value to me. I would never be able to build anything anywhere close to that. Done it in the front yard of the property. Like I said, you're going to run a commercial business, front yard of a neighborhood. I got an issue with that as well as the residents of the neighborhood. I don't think this variance should be permitted. He built it 32 foot off property line, no problem at all.
Let me correct a couple of things there, Mr. DeWitt. He's not required to do 30 feet off.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that dimension came from in some of the material, but he is required, or was required at that time, to be 5 feet off of the side property line.
5?
I mean, 10 feet,
10,
sorry,
10.
10 feet, and he is 5 or a little more.
Yeah.
And he has a setback from the front, which he meets okay. But the dimensions are the 30 feet and the 130 feet back came from somewhere, but I don't know where that came
Yeah,
from.
that's what the building permit, that's what they showed me when he originally got the building permit. That's where the building would be put at, was 32 foot and 20 foot off the property. I know 10 foot is the county setback like that, but
We can't find any information that had a dimension. They might have scaled the little sketch that was there, but the only material given to him at the time of the building permit stated the dimensions of 65 feet from the front, 10 from the right, 10 from the left, and 25 from the rear property line. So I just want to clear that up. There's been some talk about those dimensions, but we can't find any verification of those.
okay. hard, like I said, but, like I said, 5 foot from the property line, that's real close to mine. And it's the size of the building and the location of where it is in the front yard and the use of it like that.
And I will add for your concern, the business does not have a business license. It is not one that can be considered a home occupation business. And that's a different issue from this building. But the business itself should not be allowed to be there. But our code people will take that up later.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Good, so just to be clear, you are, if on Farrington Drive facing the property, you're the property immediately to the left that
Idiots.
it infringes upon?
Yeah. They've infringed on the property. They ride four-wheelers on there. There's tracks coming out of his property onto it almost every week. I've got a donut golf cart riding rink around the middle of it. He's shown no respect for my property since.
And you'll be staying until we address this later in the,
Yes, I will.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
We have a request to speak about this same item from Ms. Pam Harden.
Pamela Harden, 5090 Farrington Drive, 5080 Farrington Drive, 5086 Farrington Drive, and the lot next to it. I bought these as investment property. I live in one, rent one, but property that, if you go and look, if you've all looked, probably all seen it, it's bigger, the shop, I call it, it's larger than their footprint of the home actually on. And they have fires, burning chemicals on the wood that they're furniture with. It happens almost every day, big fires. And my property value zoning, all of those, I directly face that, and had they built it in the backyard, probably would not even be having this conversation. But they built it in the front yard. Everybody has, I have 2 properties that are directly across from it. That, and the fact that it's a business, a lot of traffic in it. One of the oldest farm kind of, a lot of people have. They didn't build a barn in the front yard. Built the barn in the back. Fringe upon it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Did we have an, I think we got it here. We do have a request to speak from Charles Roberts concerning this same item. Would he come on forward?
Hi, Chairman, board members. I'm the contractor that built the building. I'm here tonight just to, say that I had no idea that we were infringing on the setbacks, but I'm willing to do whatever we need to do to try to make this right. I do have some printed off papers if anybody would like to see what if anybody hasn't been out there. I do have some drawings showing exactly what we have and exactly what we can do with this structure to make it right. I would like to see it.
Oh, yes, I think we would probably. You want to give us a little narrative of what you think would be,
Yes, sir, I would. The very front page is basically the as-built that I had once I found out that we were closer to the property line than what we knew. So if you'll turn to page 2, that basically gives you a blown-up figure of what we've got there. That's the existing, as you'll see at the top. You'll go on over to page 3. I've got a couple of proposals. I mean, that would not bother, the integrity of the building would not be compromised. And that's to basically, we could take off 5 foot from the 20 foot inside the enclosed building all the way out to the open part of the building. Or we could, if I could possibly have y'all look at possibly giving us a variance for the enclosed part of the building and taking off 5 foot of the open part of the building, so that we would be within the setbacks. Then if you go to the next page, that's basically just an overview showing you'll see the lines. It shows the setback where the building is at now. It shows the line going through the building, kind of where, it kind of gives you an idea of how much we're encroaching on the setback. And then if you'll go to the next to the last page, if you look at the first proposed option, that's what the rear of the building would look like if we did it. Of course, if you go look at the second proposed option, the enclosed part of the building would be the same all the way down with, hopefully with a variance, and the open part would be, set back 5 foot. And of course, the last page is a footprint kind of showing that.
You would actually notch out, in addition to the open porch area, a section of the internal
Yes, sir.
building.
If I could not get a variance on that 1 foot 8 inches, there's 1 foot 8 inches that we're encroaching on the enclosed part of the building.
Right.
But on the open part of the building, we're encroaching the 5 foot. So, we could cut the concrete out and get that building within the setbacks. And however, would be able to work with us on that.
Any further questions? Oh, would you stick around until we get to that part of the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Then we come now to our consent agenda. These are items that's been through committee to receive the necessary 3 votes. Oh, will be put on consent list the item concerning the employee medical and wellness that was asked to be withdrawn by staff. If you're satisfied with these items, we'll accept a motion for their approval as 1 vote.
Second.
Any items needing clarification? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay. Go now down to our debate agenda, and I believe we start with Commissioner Duncan.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 16-03, ordinance of the Board of Commissioners of Columbia County, Georgia, amending Part 1, Article 5, Division 2 of Code of Ordinances of Columbia County, Georgia, to provide for an effective date and to repeal any conflicting ordinances.
Second.
And I believe this is to bring us in compliance with the state laws concerning this item.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it is our practices are in line with the state law, but our ordinance needs to be updated to reflect that.
Okay, further questions? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, next item.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve the first reading of Resolution 16-1218, amending the services and fees schedule for broadband utility to repeal any conflicting resolutions and to establish an effective date.
Second.
And I believe this is to bring us in line with other people that are selling these services.
That's correct.
Further discussion? All in favor? I believe now we go to Vice Chair Allen.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I would like to make a motion to approve the request located at 102 Crystal Creek Lane for a variance from Section 90-53 List of Lot and Structure Requirements to require the side setback to 5 feet, subject to the conditions enumerated in the March 3rd, 2016 Planning Commission report.
Second.
I believe this is being allowed because of being adjacent to some wetlands and some other problems where there's no conflict with the next lots.
Right.
Okay. All in favor?
I would like to make a motion to approve the request for a change of conditions for the current PUD zoning located at 2030 Baker Place Road to revise planning condition number 2 requiring sidewalks outside of building lots to be installed prior to final plat approval with conditions enumerated in the March 3rd, 2016
Typo.
Planning Commission report.
Second.
We can add it to the 2016 as well, if you'd like.
I won't be here.
And I believe this is concerning the schedule of putting in sidewalks during the course of development. Other question? All in favor?
I would like to make a motion to approve the request to rezone from S1 to RA, located at 5154 White Oak Road.
Second.
I believe this is the old home of the Wisteria plantation that's no longer in existence
That is correct.
and going to go back to residential.
Potential.
All in favor?
Had an item withdrawn, sir.
Yes, sir. 12C4 was
No
withdrawn.
action needs to be taken. That we will move into, I make a motion to approve the request for a major revision to the current S1 zoning located at 1762 Lonergan Home Road to revise the layout of the equipment on the site and to revise the buffers.
Second.
And I believe, Andrew, this is concerning the concrete plant going out there. Was these changes satisfactory to the neighbors and all that had expressed concern? This is better for them? Okay.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I had several of the people out there contact me and really appreciated all the effort that was put into this, trying to minimize the impact of the area out there. I want to make sure you understand how much they push, going the extra mile to be a good neighbor out there. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay.
I would like to make a motion to approve the request of the major revisions to the current PUD zoning located off Washington Road, William Few Parkway, Old Washington Road, and Clanton Road to revise the uses and acreages of multiple parcels in Riverwood West, subject to the conditions enumerated in the March 3rd, 2016 Planning Commission report.
I'd like to second that.
I believe this changes some of the density requirements and shifting around for a PUD. It was approved some time back.
Reduces the amount of homes, correct?
Well, some classifications are being reduced and others are being increased from what I,
Well, overall,
The overall loss.
overall.
our
Other questions? All in favor?
I would like to make a motion to approve the request for a variance from Section 90-53 List of Lot and Structure Requirements located at 891 Point Comfort Road to reduce the front setback along the access easement to 5 feet to build a single-family dwelling.
Second.
I believe this is being done because it is an easement there and there's no other effect.
Correct.
All in favor? The item in question is now upon us. Then we've got a peculiar situation here in, a lot of things have taken place. We got an issue with a business that shouldn't be operating there that'll be taken up separately, I guess, with our code enforcement. They had applied for a business license recently and were denied because that doesn't fall under the allowable home occupation businesses. But then we have the condition of the builder here that came to us saying that he missed the property line and built it too close. We have some neighbors that's unhappy with not only being too close to the property line, but I think unhappy with the building itself, which we necessarily can't deal with because it is allowable if it meets the criteria. And then we have a proposed solution from the contractor to trim off part of the building to either make it totally comply with the side setback or partially comply and ask for a variance of 1 foot 8 inches. Floor is open.
Would you like to have discussion before a motion is made, sir?
I think in this case, we probably should. It might influence the motion, you think?
I think it might, by making that motion. So,
Well, you might need all the help you can get.
here we go. First of all, actually, Mr. Good, if I may ask, I understand this is an ongoing neighborly relationship. Has any attempt been made to purchase the necessary couple feet from you that would offset this setback, or would you be at all interested in being approached about that? I have not spoken to the homeowner myself, sir. I was just curious if you'd been approached.
Well, you're probably talking about a 5-foot strip down the property line.
Free market enterprise.
That would be your choice, would it not?
That, it's your land. You could set a price or you don't have to. It's up to you. I just thought I'd ask.
Is Mr. Roberts still here? Have you discussed that with the landowner of approaching this gentleman about buying a 5-foot section? And the, has anybody seen King Solomon lately? Mr.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure that's not under our consideration here. You're allowed to build a storage shed and you're allowed to add things to your own property, and it would still be valuable as a storage building. I don't think you'd lose that much square footage inside, but I think that's a different issue from what we're dealing with here. That's up to their prerogative. Well, I think Ms. Rhodes and her group here would be looking after that pretty well.
The gentleman that I gave a nice award to earlier tonight, that's part of his department.
Yeah, Pam, all we're dealing with now is the setback, dealing with that issue. So if they're willing to move the whole building back off the setback, I mean, that seems like a...
Well, they're going to cut a portion off.
Right, that's what I meant. If they're willing to
That's
modify
not
the
in
building, then
compliance.
that solves this issue. The business is a separate issue.
That's fine.
But the county's aware.
One second. Mr. Roberts, how long do you think it would take to make these adjustments that you've proposed? Well, my position, I think, on it is that we accept their offer to reduce the size of the building, both the enclosed part and the porch part, to bring it in full compliance and grant no variance at all. The time limit, the timing is my question to the board. If that's satisfactory, how long should we give for that to be done?
Again, sir, I mean, you'd be the one doing the work. Just give us a ballpark idea of how long you would need.
And that would not be out of the question. I mean, I'd be comfortable with the 90 days.
I was going to say 90 myself.
Gotcha.
I'd give you a little bit of leeway, but I think 3 months would be fair.
But for those of you that object to the building, our concern is that it complies with the rules to build it as a storage building. And again, as Commissioner Duncan said, that's the only issue here. It's not the business or whether you like the building or whether it should be to the back of the property or more to the center. It's just as it comply with the codes as they're today written. And with these corrections, if that is the desire of the board, then they would comply. 'Cause
Well, that would be an internal issue with your HOA if you have one, ma'am, or with your neighborhood association, whatever those.
And it would be
County
a
doesn't
civil
enforce
issue between the two parties.
Mr. Chair, in my traveling through the neighborhood, there are many storage buildings all through the neighborhood. Some are in the back, some are on the sides of the houses, so I don't think the homeowners association ever really enforced that.
Are we ready to make a motion?
Well, sir, if they are willing to move themselves into compliance, then they do not need a variance. So disapproval would not be out of the question, or do we need to table it
Mr. Chairman,
for the 90 days?
I think we need to make a motion allowing them 90 days to make improvements. Otherwise, there'll be a full disapproval of their request.
To bring the building into compliance.
Gotcha. Yes, sir, Mr.
I was just going to offer that if you, I think you could disapprove the variance tonight and direct staff to go back in 90 days to see if they're in compliance. If they're not in compliance in 90 days, then obviously we have another item to bring to the commission. Rather than tabling it and waiting 90 days, it'll just be an enforcement issue at that point, like anything else that's out there if you disapprove their variance. We just understand that you're giving them 90 days to get in compliance.
I'd much rather have that on the record, though, that we took that action. We can disapprove the variance, but I think we should grant a grace period of 90 days to bring it into compliance,
Absolutely.
or the disapproval of the variance will be enforced.
All right.
Absolutely.
Let's see if
You
I
could
can
do that. Yes, sir.
figure this out.
Do one motion, then we'll do the second.
Don't hurt yourself.
Well, actually, there's other parts of the motion as well. So the first motion would be a disapproval as well as the application.
The application?
That's a separate issue.
I believe it's the same motion.
No,
So anyways,
separated.
Make the motion to disapprove the variance.
all right. I would like to make a motion to disapprove the request for variance from Section 90-53, list of lot and structure requirements located at 5081 Farrington Drive.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor of the disapproval? Now, I think we should make a motion to give the property owner 90 days to come into
Bring-
compliance, or the disapproval will be enforced.
So moved. I would like to make a motion to give the property owner 90 days to bring the building into compliance, at which time our code enforcement will check to make sure that it is in compliance. If it is not, then further action will be taken.
That's close enough.
All right, I've got another part to this,
We got to vote on this first.
So we need to vote on this.
It's another
but we
motion.
still have to vote.
I didn't know if we were through talking about it or not. All in favor? Okay, now,
I would like to make a motion to disapprove the waiver of application fees for variance 5081 Farrington Drive.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Chairman, I'd just like to thank Mr. Roberts, contractor, for your offer tonight. I think that was, speaks very highly of you and your reputation, willing to go to that extra effort to try to resolve this situation. Caused a lot of consternation in that community. Thank you.
Very well said. Thank
Mr.
you.
Roberts.
Next item, Mr. Allen.
Gosh, I'm not done. I would like to make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 16-04, amending Chapter 78, Taxation, Article 5, Occupational Tax and Licenses.
Second.
And this is dealing with first responders that are doing part-time work.
Yes, sir.
Further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Next item.
I would like to make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 16-05, revising Chapter 82, Traffic and Vehicles, Article 3, Parking, Division 4, Inoperative Vehicles and Trailers.
Second.
This is dealing with identifying tractor trailers and the hours that they're allowed to be on the street.
Yes, sir. Defines the tractor trailer, also the 12-hour limit for loading and unloading. Also adds locations this applies to, PUDs,
Neighborhoods.
Ps, PDDs, that's correct. Also allows temporary use permits for campers, as are allowed in other sections. Requires work to be, if you're restoring a car or working on an inoperative vehicle, it must be done inside an enclosed structure. And also, this will cover temporary storage containers and how long they can be in your driveway as well. So kind of wraps it all into one nice.
We had a conditional request to speak from Mr. Bartley. Do you still wish to speak?
I had read this new ordinance y'all have got. Will it address what I talked to? What I got a problem with is, I think it was 10 years ago, when we came up with the narrow streets and subdivisions conditionally approved, made them that the developer gets the narrow streets. Builders are required to build two-car garages with minimum of two or on-site parking places, and no parking can be on the street. And the problem I have is, when developer has a subdivision, now, I don't know how many we got in the county. I know we got High Grove, we got Summerlin, I don't know how many more. But, when the developers have the subdivision, they use their attorneys. You park on the street, they're gonna take you to court and money whip you. So we didn't have any parking on the street at all in High Grove, not a one. And I was president during one period of it. But as the developer comes and then turns the books over to, and subdivision regulations go along with that, all the enforcement of all the rules, they don't understand these things. So they look to Wright McLeod to enforce them. And, John Q. Public isn't like somebody that's been a builder or run a business for a long time. They're looking for somebody to tell them how to enforce something. Because, you go tell this homeowner that moved in later, sold the house, next person, renter, whatever. Well, they call the sheriff's department. Sheriff's department says, we can't enforce somebody not parking on the street. Not our problem. Call Roads and Bridges. Roads and Bridges. We can't enforce that. Call y'all. We can't enforce that. Now, y'all created this nightmare. You did it. And the homeowners, so the residents out there are getting more and more in an uproar because they don't want people parking on the street. As y'all know, it's a law. You can't close a home until you sign all the rules and covenants and everything else. So it isn't like the people don't know, because they had to sign it before they bought the home. But there's certain price ranges who say, take me to court. But then you got John Q. Public over here who, gets scared about going to court, because the attorney's going to tell them, well, you run the risk of losing. Well, we're going to spend all this money and we can lose. I mean, this is just, but the problem is, this is a life safety issue. This isn't a game. These roads are so narrow that if you got two people parking beside them, Scott, you've been out there and seen it, the school bus can't get down the road. It's blocked up, can't go anywhere. Sooner or later, you're going to have a first responder come in there that can't get to somebody who's dying. Kid choking, somebody having a heart attack. Somebody's going to be liable for that death. And this is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. You got a ticking time bomb, and there's no reason for this, none whatsoever. Y'all need to figure a fix to it. You can do it one way. You can let the sheriff's department enforce it. Y'all create it in the subdivision regulations. You can create an ordinance that makes it enforceable. Or you can make it enforceable in the court by making it, an ordinance that it has to be enforced by the HOA. Because it's a health, life safety issue. This isn't like the color of a front door. This isn't a game. And I'm telling y'all going to live with somebody dying. All I'm asking you to do, because, Scott, we talked about this 1.5 years, 2 years ago. We were texting back and forth. And, I've talked to you. This is 10 years. This is ridiculous. Now, I don't care if you don't, I don't think you should ever allow any narrow streets in subdivision. Because you're relying on somebody to enforce something that down the road isn't going to happen unless y'all create an ordinance making it that way. But all I'm asking you for, somebody gets killed again in this county due to something that was done during this construction or something, fix this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, we hadn't voted on that yet, have we?
No, sir. We do have a second, I believe.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Next item.
Lastly, I would like to make a motion to approve the first reading of Resolution 16-1215 and 16-1216 to establish streetlight districts for Rhodes Farm, Section 2B and 3B.
Second.
No explanation needed, I think. All in favor? Mr. Driver, I believe we have a couple of things under legal matters. You might give us a little rundown and the conditions of why they are not to be heard tonight.
On the first one, the appellant, the Magnolia Valley has asked to move this appeal hearing to the 29th meeting, the next meeting of the commission. We have agreed to do that. We're in the process of negotiations to try to come to a resolution. We're close to that, hopefully. We'll see. But we've all agreed to allow them to move that to the next commission meeting. The next one, that's also the mobile home on Quail Creek Road. That has also been negotiated, and we've come to an agreement. That will not need to go to another commission meeting.
Okay? So we really need no action on those items that were removed prior to the meeting.
No.
Do we have any other legal matters?
No other legal matters.
Do we have any additional requests to speak? Do we have any commissioner comments?
Mr. Chairman, I do believe we have one item. We had, the item that we skipped, I-2C4, was a rezoning request. We did have a request to withdraw without prejudice. I believe that you'd have to act on that tonight.
I think you're right.
You are. Let's go back.
Read it. Request to withdraw without prejudice for this Spears Ferry Road.
All righty. I would like to make a motion to allow the applicant to withdraw without prejudice the request to rezone from R1 to R2, located at 1165, 1199, and 1233 Furies Ferry Road.
Without prejudice.
I said that earlier.
Oh,
Without prejudice was in there.
twice. Second.
All in favor? Right in. Okay. Any other, thank you, Mr. Johnson, for picking
Thank
up
you,
on
Scott.
that. Well, any further items of discussion or any comments? We have no executive session. Have anybody that would like to go home?
I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn. Go home.
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor? We are adjourned.
Yeah, it's not always pretty, but